Tetris Attack is the American and European release of Panel Upon, which replaces all the fairy stuff from the Japanese version and replaces them with characters featured in Yoshi's Island. Easily the best version as someone who loves green dinos. Not to mention, I really like Yoshi.
Like more than a friend.
Gameplay wise, it's identical. Even the blocks and garbage are the same, although Tetris Attack does lack the unique garbage block design every character can send from Panel Upon, opting to use a slightly different Thanatos or Sanatos, whatever you want to call them, garbage block being either red or blue depending on the attacker. The biggest differences from Panel Upon to Tetris Attack are the Yoshi aesthetics, obviously. Yoshi replaces all the characters from Panel Upon, with not only Yoshi himself replacing the main character Lip, but also her theme and the stage background going from a flowery background to a more jungle-like area. And to go over all the fairies and all the changes and whatnot, Yoshi replaces Lip, Lakitu replaces Windy, Bumpity replaces Sherbert, Poochie replaces Diana? I don't know, I can't say that right. Flying Wiggler replaces Ruby, but also just to quickly cite in there, Flying Wiggler also gets his own background as well in versus mode, but he still uses, Ruby's song or whatever. Getting back on there, we got Froggy replaces Elias, Gargantuan Blarg replaces Flare, Lungefish replaces Neris, I feel like I'm not saying anything right, and Raphael the Raven replaces Saren. Taking over the rivals are Hookbill the Koopa replacing Phoenix, Naval Piranha replacing Dragon, Kamek replacing Thanatos or Sanatos, I'm just gonna call him Thanatos because that's how his name's supposed to be said. And then with Bowser replacing Cordella, so there you go. Another small little difference, which I didn't even notice at first until doing all this research. I'm a scientist, I guess. But whenever you make a combo, a little magic spell thingy will play, going from your side to the opponent's side. And, everyone has their own thing, except with Yoshi, Flying Wiggler, Hookbill the Koopa, and Naval Piranha, and Kamek as well, also have their own unique spell sprites, so, kind of cool. A very odd and strange addition to Tetris Attack is adding an options menu. For whatever reason, this was removed in the original game, and yes, I did say removed. You can actually use a cheating device, like Game Genie or whatever was there back then, throw it back into the game, so I'm not sure what was going on there. This option menu was pretty standard for stuff at the time, just, mostly just being for music and sound tests. There's also an ability to change the text from English to Japanese and changing the match points from 2 to 1. I wrote down that it only affects player versus player battles, but I don't know if that's even right. I don't know. I don't have anybody to play with. I'm very sad. And another cool feature is the character bios, which plays their theme and gives you a small little blurb about their personality and, what they're up to, I guess. They're all a little sneaky. There is also a CPU switch, which is strange, which basically allows the computer to fight itself. That's something you want to watch, I guess. And then lastly, there's this thing called the Mark switch, which I guess lets people named Mark play the game. I don't really know. I'm not really sure what it does. I tried messing around with it. For all you Marks out there, just watch out, okay? Don't get tricked into playing this and they turn you off, all right? Tetris Attack also adds a password system for the versus mode, so you can continue whenever you left off. The original game had this as well, just for every other mode other than versus, so I'm not sure what happened over there when they were making the original game. Versus mode is basically like the story mode thing, so you think, that's where people would want it, but I don't know, I guess not. And now, you may be wondering, why is Tetris Attack so different from Panel Upon? Well, I couldn't really find too much, so I guess sorry for clickbaiting you with the tagline of the last video, but I have some ideas, so not complete clickbait, right? The first, Yoshi's a Mario character, and Mario sells. Nintendo knew that back then, and they for sure know it now. And the other more obvious theory is that the game is centered around fairies. I'm sure Nintendo was afraid of having their game come off as too cutesy, and worried they would scare off their main demographic at the time being boys, so they put in Yoshi, who is also a cute character. In hindsight, it seems as a silly change, as I'm sure boys wouldn't have really cared. Speaking for me personally, at the time I was playing Freddy Fish, and it never bothered me that she was a girl. Not to mention how popular the Powerpuff Girls would be just a few years later, just the way it was back then, I suppose. It is a bit sad that they never got over this fear, only releasing an untranslated Panel de Pon back in 2020 for the Switch Online. They had plenty of chances to fix that with the traditional Panel de Pon releasing on the GameCube and Game Boy Advance, but either didn't release it or just change it to the Puzzle League branding. The biggest shame of Tetris Attack is in its name. This game has nothing to do with Tetris, like at all. Instead of getting Tetris Attack for Switch Online, they opted to use Panel de Pon, which is for better or worse depending on your viewpoint. It is good they finally made it known internationally, but we do lack those nice upgrades, and the only reason they use it is because they didn't want to pay Tetris royalties for the name. Even Tetris Company co-founder Hank Rogers regrets allowing Nintendo to use the name as he felt it got lost in history. And it really does feel that way too, since Panel de Pon has seen regular re-releases on Virtual Console, with it being on the Wii back in 2007, the Wii U in 2013, the 3DS in 2016, and even on the Super Famicom Mini in 2017. Meanwhile, Tetris Attack still only remains on the Super Nintendo, never being re-released because of the name. Clearly Nintendo had to change the name if they wanted to make more, and instead of going with Panel de Pon, they went with Puzzle League, which I think is a fine name. The first game to adopt this title would be Pokemon Puzzle League, which I'll get to down the line. A really interesting tidbit I found while making this video is that initially, instead of using Yoshi and, all the Nintendo characters, they were going to be using characters from Rare's fighting game, Killer Instinct. Yeah, imagine if that happened. That would probably make it even harder to re-release the game, knowing of the Microsoft buyout that happened later. It doesn't seem like this concept got very far, however. It was first mentioned in the UK Nintendo magazine issue 40, where the writer of the article was told about this from a Nintendo of Japan PR representative at the time. This idea was sadly short-lived, as it was brought up in a quick blurb in issue 42, where they confirmed it would have Mario characters, as we all know by now. I never played much Killer Instinct, but just imagine hearing the and all that makes me laugh. Upon its discovery, I was wondering if this happened to be a response to Capcom's Puzzle Fighter, but actually it would have predated it or came out around the same time, but it's a funny coincidence all the same. And that about wraps it up for today's video, so I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for future videos. Just want to give you another reminder, not all of them are going to be scripted like this. A lot of them will be just, kind of like clips and whatever, and yeah, making this video, I realized how many times I said and and I hate it. Yeah, but stay tuned. Thanks for watching, like and whatever. See ya.